Good evening, everyone. This is the September 13, 2023 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. This open meeting is being operated as a hybrid format under Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. The public can join the meeting remotely by telephone by dialing 1-408-650-3123 and then using access code 942-845-549, or you can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. So all supporting materials for tonight's meeting have been provided to the commissioners, and they're available on the town's website, and the public is also encouraged to follow along using the agenda for our meeting, which is also posted on the town website. My name is Michael Garland. I'm chairman of the Conservation Commission. And before we start, let me take a roll call of participants tonight. So when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tom Fallon.
Here.
Michelle Colross.
Here.
Catherine Nordberg.
Here.
And Megan Langley.
Here.
Jesse Averka.
Here.
All right. So please note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. And if anyone is participating remotely, and at this point no one is, please state your name and address as if you were attending in person. So having said that, the first item on our agenda is a 7 p.m. public hearing. Stephen Giganti, a determination of applicability for property at 25 Shore Drive to install a natural gas plastic pipe in the existing paved roadway and applicant's property using the open trench method. Is there a motion open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Okay, opposed, it's a vote. So I don't see that Mr. Giganti or anyone else for that matter is either here in person or online. I do note from the request for determination of applicability that we have been provided with a really poor quality map, what purports to be a map from Eversource, and I frankly can't make heads or tails of it. And so I think we are entitled at a minimum to get a better, an illegible diagram or picture of the area in question. Of course, the other alternative is that we actually go and make a site visit, which I am more than happy to do, especially where the applicant is not here or is not present, unless.
So that's Nick, who he's tuning in for the certificate of compliance for 63 Chestnut.
Okay, so in that case, so at this point, I mean, my understanding is that the gas pipeline that's going to be installed is outside of more than 100 feet away from Leesville Pond. Therefore, we would not have jurisdiction, but I still would like to take a look and just confirm that that is the case, unless the applicant wants to send us a better quality image than the one that was provided. So my suggestion would be to continue this matter to the next public hearing on September 27th. Is there a motion?
Motion we continue the public hearing to September 27th.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. So, oh, sorry. I will second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Okay. It's a vote. It's unanimous. What time, Jesse? 7 o'clock?
Yes, 7 o'clock.
Okay, very good. Okay, so for other business, there was a certificate of compliance request for 63 Chestnut Avenue. I believe we have someone who is here for that request for certificate of compliance. And there you are. Hello, sir. Can you state your
How you
name?
doing? Nick Fasandola, Level Design Group. Here just to answer any questions. I know the commissioners had a site visit and took this matter up at the last meeting. So if there's anything specific or questions you guys have for me on how things ended up out at the site, please let me know. I believe we also submitted, I spoke to the agent or the
Yeah,
administrative gentleman there, and we had submitted for the other lot too, which was 65. So I don't know if you guys reviewed that site. We're hoping to close both out as everything was essentially done together. The survey, the land disturbance permit, all that was done for the two properties at the same time as they're being developed at the same time.
So Nick, we're familiar with the property. We walked the site a few weeks ago, and we certainly walked the site for 63. We didn't make a specific inspection of 65, and frankly, in order for us to consider a request for certificate of compliance, it's going to be posted. So that would have to even, and I don't know the circumstances why the request for certificate of compliance for 65 Chestnut Avenue wasn't received by us, but because it didn't appear on our agenda for tonight, we can't act on that. We can act on it at our next meeting, which is on September 27th.
Okay, that seems fair.
Okay, so, in walking the site, we actually met the couple that lives there. We talked to their son, and, everything appears to be in order. It certainly appears to be in compliance with the plan that was submitted. So, is there a motion?
Make a motion, we issue a certificate of compliance for 63 Chestnut Avenue.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote.
All right, well, thank you for your time, and I'm hoping to see the other site on next meeting, on the next meeting posted on the agenda, so we can get that one wrapped up as well.
Absolutely. So we will put it on the agenda for our meeting on September 27th, sir. Thank you.
All right, very good. You guys have a good night. Thank you.
You too.
Can I circle back to 54 Prospect?
We're going to take it up now.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Anyway, the next
Oh,
item.
this is short.
The next item for other business was a certificate of compliance for 54 Prospect Street.
All right.
And I don't believe we're going to have anyone up here.
Stu?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
okay.
apologize, sir. Are you David Elkinson?
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Well,
Kevin Quinn with Quinn Engineering.
Mr. Quinn, good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay.
Glenn Kravosky filed these plans.
Yes, sir.
My office prepared the plans. Kravosky filed them. He's unable to be here tonight, so
Okay.
I'm filling in for Glenn.
All right.
He's filed certificate of compliance for this. I conducted a site walk in August, found the site to be complete, site work to be complete, and the site was stable. I've drafted a letter, I submitted a letter with the certificate of compliance that basically says, my opinion is that the work is substantially in compliance, but I listed some deviations identified in the site walk.
Right.
I can walk through them if it's helpful.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
There was the plans called for 2 8-inch culverts under the driveway. I believe that had been a request of conservation. Contractor installed only one. From an engineering standpoint, the culverts weren't designed for capacity, so having one culvert does not restrict the capacity of that to pass stormwater underneath the driveway. The paving was somewhat larger than called out on plan. The as-built plan shows in red the area, yeah, I can see it on the screen, the areas that were paved outside of what the plan dimensions were. The total is 485 square feet, so it's not an enormous area, but it's a little larger than called out on plan. There were deck and stairs built at the rear of the building that were not shown on the plan of record. The deck boards, the planks in the deck are gapped, and there's crushed stone under the deck, so it is not impervious. If you gap the boards, it's considered pervious, so it's not an impervious surface, but that was not shown on the plan. And there's also an air conditioning unit and propane tanks were installed beside the building that were not shown on the plan.
Okay. So there were several deviations from the plan that was submitted to us.
Can I answer questions?
Well, my sense is that, I know on occasion we approve a plan and then either the property owner or the developer will come before us and say, we've made these deviations depending on site conditions. And normally in those cases, we would request an amendment to the original, order of conditions, or the request for the order of conditions. So I guess the question is whether or not the deviation that's shown on the plan is considered by this commission to be de minimis or requires something further. And I think, Michelle, you wanted to address that issue.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
There seems like there's a lot. I mean, and in your opinion, I mean, is this, when stuff like this happens, it usually we're called in later on by the neighbor saying, this wasn't shown. We get called out on it because we approve one plan and then we let this go through, and then their driveways or their streets or their stuff is flooding because we said it was okay at the end of the day. You're the expert. You're looking at this saying, you think that this is okay at this point? I mean, the plans were drawn up for a reason, the way that they were drawn up, and we have bylaws for a reason.
You do. I would say this, from a conservation standpoint, are these changes gonna create a negative impact on wetland? No, it's certainly not,
On this house, but how about the house next door?
I can't see any measurable impact on anybody nearby that wasn't the plan as proposed. Let me rephrase. I don't see that the deviations will create an impact on a neighbor that the plan as proposed wouldn't already do. You have 480 feet of square feet of additional impervious on the site.
Right.
I mean, that's an opinion. You asked me for my opinion. I'm happy.
Okay, yeah, no, that's okay, that's what I asked you for.
Yep.
So why was the decision made to reduce the number of culverts from 2 to 1?
Good question.
So you don't know the answer to that?
I don't.
I mean, I think whatever engineering was done in connection with the original plan was made in relation to 2 8-inch diameter culverts, and now that's been reduced by 50%. I think I'd like some sort of assurance, and I don't recall because it has been a while, what sort of calculations were done for the capacity of these culverts to handle significant storm event.
Actually, the culverts were actually requested by conservation.
Right, I understand that.
We didn't design that.
Okay.
We could certainly generate some kind of calculation, but I can tell you that the amount of the culvert would be a connection to whatever water would arrive on one side of the driveway. I don't believe it's excessive, but conservation needs to be satisfied.
I think we need some calculations. I think we need to be persuaded that that the 50% reduction in the culverts is not going to cause any problems, for neighbors or results in any runoff onto Prospect Street. So again, looking at the highlighted areas in the plan, am I reading this correctly if it appears that the wetland restoration area is actually larger than was originally called for?
It's as depicted. Frankly, Kravosky handles he did the restoration work that was proposed on this, all of that was handled by Kravosky.
Okay, but I think what you indicated is that anything highlighted in red shows what actually was constructed at the site, correct?
That's correct, sir.
So if I see this, then it looks like the wetland restoration area was actually larger than what was originally proposed, which from our point of view is not a bad thing.
Mhm.
Not necessarily, but that swale that's in there.
Right. Well, that's true too. So I think we're gonna need to take another look. Because so the red lines that are shown on the plan, Mr. Quinn, were they added on August 7th?
Yeah, the date on the plan.
Okay, so therefore they were added after we went to the site. So I think we need to go back out there and take a look. So what I would suggest is, and perhaps you can get in touch with Mr. Kravosky about the actual size of the restoration area.
Yep.
My suggestion would be that we just continue the hearing on this, or consideration of the certificate of compliance request to September 27th, if that's agreeable with you.
That's fine, sir.
Okay, great. So in that case, we can go out there. We've been out to the site before, obviously, so we can just take a look.
If it's helpful, we can have Kravosky meet with you when you do the site walk, and he can walk you through what the.
Okay, we'll figure out when that's gonna be.
I'll have him reach out then to.
Yeah, he had already, I spoke to Glenn earlier today and he mentioned that if we were going to be doing a site walk, then he'd like to be there for it. So
Okay.
I'm sure I'll be talking to him tomorrow morning regardless.
Okay, so we'll try to figure out when we can do that.
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds good.
All right, Mr. Quinn, so thanks for coming in,
All right.
and we appreciate you, filling us in on the changes, and
All right.
see you in a couple of
Very
weeks.
Thank you.
Great.
Good night.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yep.
Okay, for other business, the next item is 16 George Street.
Mhm.
So we
Yeah.
understand.
So I spoke to someone from Skyhook who, we had gone out to the site and spoken to the homeowner, and he informed us that Skyhook had been doing work down the road. They had reached out to him because it was actually one of his friends to see if they could store some of the wood chips on his property, which he didn't mind, which they ended up doing so, but it was right next to a stream that was, abutting his property. So then I reached out to Skyhook because obviously those need to be removed, and I spoke to a gentleman that worked there, and he said they had no problem going by and removing them. He said they'd be there this weekend, so I'm planning on going out next week. I'll take more pictures, share those with you guys,
Okay.
and if they need to do anything else, then he said that I can just give him a call and let him know exactly what we need to see done.
Do you think we need to send a letter now, or do you want to wait until this weekend?
I think we can wait until after the weekend. I mean, talking to the guy, he was very receptive. He made it clear that, if they need to go back again, it's not a problem. Just let them know. So
Okay.
I think we're okay.
All right, so why don't we continue 16 George Street to the next meeting? For 25 Mile Street, Jesse, Tom, and I walked the site, and I think Chris was there too. Again, two or 3 weeks ago, it was right after the last meeting. And so what's happened is that wetland, I should say, erosion control measures have been rather haphazardly installed against a clear wetland area that was flagged, but there was no request for determination ever filed with us. And I think the work did stop after we sent the cease and desist order.
Yes, it did stop, and this was probably going back at least 2 meetings. So that was over a month ago that it stopped.
Right.
And I've been out there, a number of times. I've been, when I'm going by, probably at least once a week, and there's been no equipment in there, no one doing anything.
So I think the next step, I think this definitely requires a filing. And I think at a minimum, a request for determination of applicability.
Mhm.
So my suggestion would be that we reach out to the property owner and tell him that he needs to file an RF. I mean, again, we'll have the board vote on it clearly, but my suggestion would be is that they file a request for determination. And then that way, and I think we had
That's
asked them.
good. But in the meantime, what is getting into the wetland? Is that?
So I don't think it's really at risk right now. Like you can see from the first picture, basically they were clearing out, like there's no wetlands all along this. It's just, this is
Okay.
a abandoned house at the end of a dead end street.
Okay,
And going down the driveway on the left, which you can see is this. This is all wetland in here. So
okay,
they did install this, they tried, but it's not buried in all places.
okay,
There's nothing reinforcing it. So I mean, I think to continue doing work and bringing heavy equipment down there and whatnot, they obviously need to file to be doing things correctly. But
Okay.
as for right now, I don't think it's just a bunch of brush piles. That's really the only thing
Okay.
existing there. It's just this kind of stuff.
okay.
And there are no plans on file, right, that we know of?
No, they didn't have, and I've been monitoring to see even if they put in building permits or land disturbance or anything like that. And I mean, they have been in talks with the building inspector and DPW, but there still is no submission of any plans.
Do we know what the intent might be?
I believe that, so I talked to, I want to say it was Little Diggers that were over there.
Okay,
And I talked to one of the gentlemen who was doing, some of the tree removal in there. And he seemed to think that they were planning on developing apartment buildings in here.
really?
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna need planning board approval.
That's kind of what I took him at face value. He, was just the guy running the equipment. He kept saying, like, I don't really know the end game here.
Sure.
But I think that was the plan, is to demo the house and then either put in apartment buildings or houses of some sort, They want to build on it at the end of the day. That was the story that I was told.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good sized parcel of land, because I think we know there aren't that many large parcels of land left in Auburn.
No, it's one of the only ones.
So, anyway, my suggestion would be that to send a letter to the owner, tell him that, we feel that they must, file a request for determination of applicability. And, I mean, the cease and desist order will remain in effect until they have a hearing with us. So that would be my suggestion, if there's a motion.
I say you write them a letter.
Okay, along the lines of what I just described.
Yes.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all right. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote. Okay, I will do that. And then for 282 Southbridge Street, that's the wooden road.
No wooden road.
So, Jesse, apparently you haven't gotten or made much headway with National Grid on that, correct?
No, I haven't had too much luck as far as finding out, who authorized basically the installation of this.
Okay. Do we know who installed it?
I believe so. I was told from the property owner that it was Michaels Corporation, but I haven't had any confirmation. I mean, I was trying to get a hold of Grid. I haven't reached out to anyone from Michaels.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah, it's so I think they mostly work out of New York, but they have an office down in Connecticut too, and they're just a big construction outfit.
Why would they come to Auburn for this?
I don't know, but I have seen like I mentioned a couple of meetings ago, I've seen their trucks working it. They seem to be going down a line and working on some of these easements.
Okay,
I don't know if they're installing things like this at all of them, but I have seen their trucks around town.
okay. And so when you've called National Grid, they don't know anything?
I just haven't been able to discern, like, I haven't been able to get a hold of anyone who is working on this property specifically.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
And I haven't been back.
No, they have not been back. Well, I think they finished the work. I think this is all that they were going to do. Because now this goes all the way down to this tower.
But so they're leaving it, that's permanent.
It
They're
appears it
leaving
would be.
there.
I
Yeah.
mean, and again, I mean, is this pressure treated lumber?
I mean, it appears to be.
They
It would
usually,
be silly
they
not.
usually have those platforms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot how big they are, but they stack them up and they just put them down as they go in.
Hmm.
But like, this is a boardwalk. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
It's-
It's
yeah.
exactly what it
It's
is.
just a strange situation
Yeah, I
from
agree
start to
with
finish.
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, the reality
Something
is
to
that
Paid for it.
if National Grid has an easement on the owner's property, there's really not much you can, if anything, you can do about it. I mean, utility easements, have priority for obvious reasons. But
Mhm.
the fact they didn't notify us, and they didn't notify him either, is
Or DOJ. I mean, not the DOJ, sorry.
that's right.
Sorry, them,
Yes.
the other people, I'm sorry.
That's
Now I can't get it out of my
All
head,
right,
so
first word
it's
sounds
gonna
like-
be, yeah.
All right. Those
The
guys.
other people,
I
not us,
DEP?
yes,
DEP.
thank you, DEP, thank you.
Got you.
Like, shouldn't they have had to have gotten some kind of,
No, not necessarily. But
If it's in a, is
normally,
it in a wetland?
well, the question
Yeah,
is,
so they're along this side. You can see in there. There's some standing water, and that pretty much runs, similar to the last one, all along the left side.
I mean, at a minimum, what they've always done is they notify us.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand in this case why they didn't. So maybe, I mean, I hate to just send a blind letter to National Grid.
I know, that's why I was trying to. I mean, to be fair, like I only really have contacts there that, are like permitting specialists.
Right.
They're not. I don't think they're a big enough company where I don't think one person knows about everything that's going on. But I mean, maybe if I don't know, I could maybe get an idea, if we have an official letter drafted of where the best place to send that would be, rather than just sending it to, National Grid in Worcester and then having someone wonder what the heck is going
Send to
on.
the president,
Wait,
Yeah.
let me just ask this question. There was somebody who came to us about putting up these poles. Who was that person?
Yeah, so well, how long ago were you talking about with the polls?
It wasn't that long
I don't think it's the
ago.
same. It's not the same poll though.
It's not, but
Mm-hmm.
ask them. You were the
Yeah, yeah.
person who actually, came to us about setting up these poles.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anything about anybody setting up these
Yeah, these
boardwalks,
access.
these
yeah.
access ways? And was this part of it? Was this something,
Mhm.
or is it something that you're planning on doing in the future
Yeah,
to get access to these poles
Mhm.
or some of them?
yeah.
Because it looks as though it's part of that.
So, and I think to Michelle,
Can I share?
yes,
Sorry, I just wanted to share that I actually received, because behind my property, there's an easement and a wetland, and so there's a similar type situation back there. I received a letter from National Grid that just explained a little bit of, it said that those are timber mats and that they may be placed in specific areas such as wetlands, stream crossings, agricultural areas, or residential lawns for crew and soil boring equipment to access structures.
That sounds like it.
Those don't look
You-
like mats, though. They look like-
Eureka. So,
There we go.
can you scan and send that letter to us? Megan?
Yes, I can, yes.
Okay. And I'm curious, who signed that letter? Or does it just say National Grid?
It just says, yeah, there's no like personal name attached to it or anything.
And on the letterhead, where did it come from? Did it come from Worcester or Westboro? Or some other place?
Oh. I don't know. I lost the envelope that it came in,
Okay.
so I'm not sure.
So what,
But it says it's called the Central to Western Mass Energy Improvement Project.
okay. That sounds like it's
Now,
this.
I agree with her, because it doesn't necessarily look like pressure treated. If you look at it, there's gouges out of it. It looks like it's been reused multiple times. So they probably use it until that project's done, and then they go and pick it up and then
But
reuse
they haven't
it
been
for another
back.
time.
Right.
They may not be finished with whatever they're
Well, they
doing.
haven't told us what they're doing.
Well,
It's strange too, because we got that one notification, I want to say 2 meetings ago, of like routine, pole maintenance that they were going to be doing. Like they let us know about that, but for some reason this just seems to have slipped through the cracks, and they might let
And
us know.
This sounds like it's part of that seismic testing thing.
seismic.
The ground penetrating the ground penetrating radar surveys.
And
So
they need to
they're
put in a walkway or a boardwalk to do that?
Maybe where they have to get to.
it's just in the wetlands because there's like these booms that they have to bring in, and I think they'd get stuck or just tear everything up if they didn't
Yeah,
have
they
some
don't want it
solid
wet.
surface underneath them.
And that's great. I mean, I applaud their effort to, not to do that, but they should still notify us. It's interesting they
Yeah.
notified her,
Hmm.
But if you could send that letter to us, that will, I think, kind of narrow our focus on maybe who we can reach out to.
Okay, yeah, I'll scan that, send that over.
Thank you. Okay. So I guess we obviously will have to continue discussion on 282 South Bridge to the next meeting on September 27th. Finally, we have meeting minutes from August 23rd.
I wasn't here.
I know. And actually, so let's see, there
Your
were,
night.
there were 4 of us that night,
Listen,
and there are 3 of us here, so we can actually, and actually, I take that back. We have a quorum so that we can actually vote on these meeting minutes. I have no changes to the meeting minutes for August 23rd. Megan or Catherine, any changes to the meeting minutes?
I don't see any changes to be made. It all looks good to me.
Okay, in that case, is there a motion to accept the meeting minutes for August 23rd of 2023?
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Abstain.
Aye.
Okay, and there's no opposition, and there's 1 abstention from Ms. Colross. Okay. Is there any new business? There being none, is there a
Thanks.
motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a
I
second?
second.
Just figured you would. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, it's the vote. All right, everyone, thank you very much for attending this evening. And we are out.